Hello, everyone, and welcome to Never Seen It. This is a podcast where we watch movies that we haven't seen yet. I'll be your host today. I'm Betsy, and with me, as always, is Trent.
Hello, fellow gamers.
Because that is our core demographic moving forward.
Yes.
Only the gamers.
Only gamers allowed.
If you're not a gamer, I'm sorry.
On the Wednesdays in April.
For the next 3 weeks. This week included, so 2 more after this. Today, we are continuing our video game movie series with I don't know if you want to call it the juxtaposition to what we just watched.
The response to, let's say.
So we are watching from 2020, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep.
So growing up, and we touched on this in the last episode, Trent, you were a Nintendo kid.
I was.
And the first gaming system that we had in our house was a Sega Genesis. So I was a Sonic kid.
See, and you need to give some context here. You didn't have a Sega Genesis in your house until, what, the late 90s?
Yeah, it was probably when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I couldn't pinpoint the exact year, but maybe like 96, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Because my brothers pooled their money and went to the used game store and they bought a used Genesis and a few games. And of course, Sonic was the big one. So we had it was like the compilation where it was like Sonic, Sonic 2, and then the Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yes.
Now, I had played Sonic plenty, but I would get bored because I'm not good at those kinds of games, even though that one's pretty much a button masher like a lot of games in those days. There's a little technicality to it, but you can pretty much just run and keep running and hope you don't die.
That's kind of the idea of Sonic, is just run until you run into something and die.
Get through it as fast as you possibly can. Once in a while, you get so fast that you lost all control and you just fly to the end of the game and it would be over in like 40 seconds. I would get really tired of that. But for some reason, I got really into Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and I kicked ass at this game.
To this day, Betsy is really, really good at that type of game.
The predictive, Tetris type moves.
Yeah, and that game is actually a reskin of what is called in Japan Puyo Puyo, which is, Mean Bean Machine is just Puyo Puyo with the Sonic characters, the Sonic enemies, as the characters that you're going against. It has nothing to do with Sonic. They just slapped Dr. Robotnik's name on it to have something to do with Sega.
Yeah, put out another game for this console.
Yeah.
So other than that, I really never played the system. That was just kind of my introduction to video games. So where you were Nintendo and Mario, I was Sonic. So
I was literally a Nintendo kid since I was 2 years old.
Your earliest formative memory.
My earliest memory in my life is me being at my babysitter's house, being sat down in front of a TV, handed a controller, and I was given a Super Mario Brothers. And they kind of showed me what the thing was, and I went to the right, and I died on the first Goomba, and they took the controller away from me because I died.
And that was your first memory.
Yes.
And it's just been downhill since then.
Yeah, I would say it's very much an uphill.
Okay.
Rather than down. But
Fair enough.
That was my introduction to it, and I've been a Nintendo kid ever since. I have all the systems now, but I will always be that Nintendo kid. And as far as my history with Sega and Sonic, I had a cousin who I wasn't around a whole lot. He was a little bit older than me, and he was very much a nerd. And he still is.
He was the tech kid.
Yeah, and he always had computers, and he would be the fucking geek that would have the power glove, and he would have the spiked hair and glasses, and have every little gadget under the sun. He's that kid. If you've ever seen Kung Fury, he is a hacker man. He even looks like Hacker Man.
Circa 1987.
Exactly.
That's your cousin.
Exactly. So anyway, he had a Sega system, and anytime we would have a Christmas thing, he would always hook up his Sega system, and I would play Sonic, and I just could not get over the controller layout, the ABC buttons. I just thought they were in the wrong configuration as far as my mind went. I couldn't get over how they had the 3 buttons in a row and they were going the wrong direction. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic here. Suffice it to say that I did not like the Sega systems. I don't think Sega has ever put out a good Sonic the Hedgehog game. I've played my fair share of them. I've at least dabbled, and I've never had any fun.
But that all being said, Trent, what do you know about the movie version of Sonic the Hedgehog?
I mean, I understand it's really well regarded, and even people who don't like Sonic, like I don't, have watched this movie and enjoy themselves. So I know that it is Sonic going into the real world. I know Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic. I know Jim Carrey is Dr. Robotnik. And I know James Marsden is in it.
The ever popular guy to play against animated creatures. He's the straight man.
Right. And as far as like the story here of like how Sonic gets into the real world, what James Marsden's connection to it, I have no idea.
And I don't know if he's coming out of a video game, or I think he might be an alien or from another world.
Probably just another dimension kind of a thing.
Something like that.
Yeah, we've already covered interdimensional shifts on another episode last week. But like, I don't really know what we're getting into here as far as what the story is. Like, I know it's fun. I know it's funny. I know Jim Carrey just hams it up like he always does. And this is maybe one of his best performances that he's done for a long time. So I guess we're going to find out.
Well, there you go. I don't really know much more than you. I expect it's going to be a fun kids movie because that's what they're doing.
Kids really love Sonic these days. And like any other kids movie, they like to just sit down and watch it over and over and over again.
Perfect. Well, that's not us. This is the first time, the only time we are going to go and watch Sonic the Hedgehog, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was Sonic the Hedgehog. Trent, are all your rings intact?
No. No, I lost them a long time ago. You know, I would say that is the one and only good Sonic thing. I like that one. I kind of knew going in it was gonna be one of those kinds of movies.
Sure.
Where it's a kids movie, and I should not expect anything more than that.
We are not the target demographic.
It was silly in all the ways that you want it to be. Jim Carrey is doing his thing. Ben Schwartz does a really good job as a voice actor, which I don't think he had ever done before. Do you know?
I don't know, no.
And James Marsden did a hell of a job acting in front of a fake thing. And altogether, this was a solid movie, front to back.
I was smiling, I think, this whole movie because my face kind of hurt when I was done, because it was just enough nostalgia without being like, we have to recreate every single detail from the game, which is where so many of these movies go awry. They can't decide, are they making a movie strictly for the fans, or are they making a movie for the masses?
Yeah, is it like a wink and a nod every 5 minutes in the movie to the gamers, or are you just making a movie that happens to have this character in it, and you're going to throw in a few nods to the people who know better? And it was the latter. Like, they made a movie with Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, the names of the town and the fact that he has rings and, you know, his shoes and a few of the references and jokes that they throw in there. It is not overwhelming, and I kind of expected it to be all game related. It wasn't.
Well, especially for a movie that, if you know anything about Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, you know that they bent to the will of the fans.
Oh yeah, we haven't covered this yet.
We didn't talk about this yet, but when this movie was announced, everyone was pretty excited about it.
When there was a first trailer for it.
But it was when they put out the first trailer, the first time anybody actually saw what Sonic was going to look like.
With his beady little eyes.
He was terrifying. And his human teeth.
Yeah, the teeth.
Guys, this is an animated version of something everybody is immediately going to recognize.
Yeah.
And you changed how he looked. He was nightmarish. And the internet exploded to the point, what did they pushed this back like 6 months?
Yeah, they pushed it back into another year. They spent a whole lot more money.
Time and money.
Completely redo whatever they had already done.
They overhauled it.
They didn't make it just for that trailer. They were already making the movie. This was already well into process. And yeah, they had to spend a fuckload of money to fix it, and for good reason, because there's a whole lot of people who came to the movie that maybe wouldn't have.
Right, but it paid off. That was the kind of gamble where if you have fan outrage to the degree that this movie did.
Yeah, your base level of fan is going to come to this movie. And if those people are pissed off, forget about it.
You could have left this alone. You could have. They could have said, well, that's too bad. That's what he looks like in this movie.
Right.
And it could have bombed. This movie could have been just terrible. It could have been fine. I don't know. I think they made the right call because in this, he's super cute. Like, this is the exact version I wanted. Like, they make him just like you would imagine him to be.
But they don't go all the way. They don't go all the way to like the old cartoonish things where there's like no separation in his eyes.
No, he has 2 eyes.
He has 2 eyes. They're huge, but they are separated.
They're also blue.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, in the game, they're just beady little black eyes.
Well, it's a game.
Which is what they were going for in the initial design, was he had just these little round black eyes. And if you look at the before and after, like,
oh, yeah.
This is miles better. Miles. But yes, by listening to what the fans wanted, it served the overall thing. Now, it could be that they changed nothing else, that the rest of the movie was exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
And if that's the case, this was well done. Like you said, it's just enough fan service, but it was really cute and really funny. And it's kind of predictable. Like, it's a little bit formulaic. Like, we start at the end or near the end, and he does the, I bet you're wondering how I got here. Let's go back. But then there were just their own touches, like when they're rewinding and he goes,
right. Well, it's a way to get kids' attention, because you have this big action scene to start off the movie. It only lasts for like 30 seconds, but at that point, the kids know, oh, we're going to get this later. I better pay attention to what's going on. And then you get the introduction. You get little baby Sonic, and that's really cute.
Little baby Sonic on his island. Yeah, and again, they're showing, like, you can run around and there's loop-de-loops.
Well, it's even got, like, the original Green Hill Zone from the game. Like, all of the aesthetics from that level, let's say, are in his island. Like, the checkerboard sides of the cliff sides and whatnot. The fact that he ran over one of the bridges and the bridge collapsed. Yeah, that's from the game. So yeah.
And then they introduced the concept of the rings, which, first of all, before the movie even starts, they have the Paramount logo, and instead of the stars,
it's rings.
It's rings. That made me just, my little heart
You were
happy.
already sold by that.
I was already on board. And then they played the little, like, Sega, like that sound. It's like, okay, I'm with you. But they introduced the concept that they give it another function, so they make it a part of the story. So instead of just being something you collect for shits and giggles and points, it actually serves a purpose. So it's intergalactic travel, basically. So he exists, for lack of a better definition, he is an alien. He's alien to the planet Earth anyway. So he's across the universe somewhere on this planet. He has this awesome power. Everybody's after him. So his guardian says, you're going to go somewhere else, and where he ends up is Earth. And he's able to travel using these rings. So he's got a bag of rings.
He had been to a bunch of other planets, too. He pulled out this map that had a bunch of planets on it, and he had crossed off a few of them.
I kind of missed that.
Left. It was Earth and the Mushroom Planet.
Oh, okay, I forgot that. I must have been taking a note or something.
So he has been around quite a few years, let's say.
Well, they say it's 10 years from that to now.
Did they say 10 years? Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning they said it was 10 years later.
Okay.
So he's like a teenager.
Well, yes, and just to give some backstory here with Sonic, Sega and the battle between Sega and Nintendo, they introduced Sonic to be this edgy teenage and like with attitude, this character with an attitude, because Nintendo was like perceived as this squeaky clean for kids kind of a thing. Well, we're edgy. We got the big kids' attention with this because Sonic has attitude. And when you don't control him for a while in the game, he crosses his arms and he taps his foot
and he looks at his watch.
Looks at the screen, looks at you, the player who isn't playing with him. Yeah, it's that whole thing. It's a teenage attitude.
Mm-hmm. He's not as aggressive as the game character is.
Yeah.
He's more just, I don't know how to stop being on all the time.
Right.
Like there's a great scene where he multiple times is rendered unconscious and then wakes up and just goes to 11 in this movie.
Well, yeah, when he gets the smelling salts,
Yes.
he immediately wakes up and says, "Gotta go fast!"
Yeah, and so he starts just jabbering away, and then our protagonist Tom and his wife go into the next room and they close the doors, but you can hear him the entire conversation.
I want to know what he was saying.
I desperately want to know what he was saying in the background because you could just barely hear him going
Yeah.
through the door. Right. So that he just never turns off. And Ben Schwartz is one of those guys that has this ability to just
full of energy.
He's comes from improv, so he's great at just making shit up and just don't stop talking.
Yeah.
So you know whatever he is saying
Stream of consciousness.
was stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
So it's more like that, and he's just like, I'm young and I've never had an adventure and I'm so lonely and I like having a friend and I want to do everything.
Yeah, I've never actually talked to any human before, and this is my first time doing it, so I'm going to keep on doing it until I can't.
I loved that element of it.
Yes.
But before he actually had talked to anybody, he spent his life basically kind of watching. So he's in the background, he's there, he's participating without being noticed. And when he goes to the baseball diamond, he's playing all the different positions. Yeah. So he's the catcher, the pitcher, the hitter, and he's in the outfield. And there's a lot of sequences like this where he's just running back and forth because he's so fast he can.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of comedy that came out of it. But then at the end of the scene, he's just like, I'm alone. I'm like, I'm so sad.
It's something that a little lonely boy would do. They talk to themselves, they play by themselves, and they create these worlds that, and like even imaginary friends.
They have massive imaginations
historically.
historically.
And you have to, I was an only child, so I had to have a pretty good imagination. Mm-hmm. I think I did have some imaginary friends.
You were not 300 miles an hour, though.
No. But yeah, it was an emotional moment for him, which is what triggers his, massive electricity spike, I guess.
Yeah, so you get little cues throughout this movie, and it's easy to pick up on as an adult, but I was invested in him as a character because it's like, even I, the grown woman, I'm like, I'm sad because you're alone, and I'm sure most children would watch this and go, I'm sad because he's alone. You don't want people to be alone. We are inherently social creatures. We need human interaction, and even the alien hedgehog
there were a bunch
people.
of these moments where you definitely could tell the writers were trying to appeal to the kids in the audience.
Well, yeah, they kind of started that way, and then there really wasn't a lot of narration throughout. We didn't get much of his inner monologue after the beginning. It's basically up until the point he has a friend. Somebody is talking to him. He doesn't need to talk to himself anymore. We stop getting the inner monologue.
Yeah.
But of course, like you mentioned, when he gets emotional, he can't control his powers, and he has this massive surge of electricity, and he causes this rolling blackout
Giant
across
blackout.
the entire coast.
Well, it's also, it goes all the way up to space, and satellites are knocked out.
He knocks out a satellite.
Then we immediately cut to the Pentagon. They're having a giant meeting, and they're wondering what they could possibly do. Then somebody suggests, well, we could get this guy with 15 PhDs and blah, 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 blah.
He's kind of a weirdo, though.
And another guy says, you can't possibly mean him. Yes, of course. Robotnik.
Dr.
Robotnik.
Yeah, in the game, there isn't a whole lot of plot.
No.
This is from the era of go from point A to point B,
kill enemies,
collect things,
coins. Yeah.
Do it as fast as you can. Those are kind of the parameters. There isn't a lot of, they're a villain and here is why, and these are your motivations.
Yeah, there's no reason why you're doing anything, except I think in the case of Sonic, you're trying to save animals. Because at the end of those levels, I think...
you free a bunch of animals.
You free a bunch of animals in a cage or something like that. If there's a reason for doing any of it, it's that.
But even I, who played this game, never got far enough to notice that.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
So that gives these writers a lot of freedom here to make a movie kind of about whatever they want.
Yeah.
Which is why it's like, okay, well, there's an unexplained phenomenon. The government is going to investigate. Mm-hmm. They send the weirdo. And of course, it's Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. He is fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Because Jim Carrey is now, what? God, he's got to be 60 now,
he's
at
least
least.
Pushing 60.
And this shtick that he doesn't always work. As he has gotten older, it's been, like you said in the intro, a little more hit and miss. But he is like peak Jim Carrey here.
Yeah.
And it's fucking fantastic.
This is evoking like 90s Jim Carrey.
Yes.
His best stuff.
When he is like just dancing that line of being too much.
Yeah.
Like some might say he just is too much, but that's also what you want. Like anything less, anyone playing it more seriously, that villain is too scary.
Yeah.
They're too scary. They have to be funny and they have to be believed as being kind of absurd.
You have to be cartoonish, but not like evil.
Yeah, believable. You have to be believable, and he's believable. He is a guy who's just the smartest dude in the room with terrible social skills.
But then you also got some of his backstory. He kind of explains, he was an orphan, he got bullied, and being the smartest person in the room is not an easy thing. So I get it.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that you are going to become an evil super genius.
But instead of becoming a better person, he goes inward and he says, I'm the only one that matters. Right. I gotta rely on me and I need my machines.
Right. He doesn't have any friends, so he makes machines. He uses technology in order to get by in the world.
Yeah. So he's just delightful in this, and he's prancing around and he's got a twirly mustache and the silly haircut. And I was totally in for this ride.
Yeah, so was I. I don't know if he could have done this any better. I kind of wish that there was, I don't know. Do you wish that there was more Jim Carrey in this or less?
I feel like we had just the right amount of Jim Carrey. I feel like, again, if you're considering both the adults in the audience and the children, like we are I said it before, we aren't the target demographic, but at the same time, we are we are exactly the target demographic.
Yes, we are.
It's people our age who had this game who now have children.
Yep.
Or people like us who don't have children but still want to see Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes.
So we grew up on Jim Carrey. So the 1990s, when we were little and he was doing this 30 years ago.
Yeah, he was doing the cartoonish stuff back in The Mask and all that stuff.
When he was Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, he's doing all of those things in the 90s, and he's doing it again here. So it could age very poorly, and this didn't. Like, I felt like he was giving just enough that I was reminded of all those roles and why we all loved him in the 90s.
Yeah.
Without it being so much that children of today would be like, what is that crazy man doing?
And like in this movie, Jim Carrey isn't the star. In all of those other movies, he's the star. He is on screen almost the entire way. This, no, it's Sonic.
And they could have made a movie that was all about Jim Carrey and Sonic was an afterthought.
Yeah.
That's usually what they do that screws up movies like this, where they're like, well, we have a star, let's let them do their thing, and we'll worry about the rest later. They kind of did that with Super Mario. Dennis Hopper was arguably the star of that movie, and they just sort of let him do his thing, and nobody really understands why.
I think in that movie, nobody really stood out. If anybody did, it was John Leguizamo, but go and listen to that episode and listen to that discussion, I guess. But in this movie, the dynamic between Sonic and Tom is the central portion. It is them going on an adventure, Sonic finally having a friend, Tom, I guess, realizing that he needs to stay where he came from.
He's appreciating what he has.
Right, and I don't really know.
There's no place like home, Trent.
I don't really know why Sonic has to be the one to tell him that, and I don't know why Sonic really has that kind of emotion towards that. Maybe because he doesn't have anything.
I think it's because he has been on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
and what he sees is you have this great freaking life.
Yeah,
and
your community loves you.
Yeah.
This is the place that you need to be.
you are appreciated and loved here.
Yeah.
Why would you want to leave?
Why would you want to leave and
This
go to
place is
San
great.
Francisco where nobody knows you
Yeah.
to be a street cop in San Francisco, which, by the way, would be a terrible job?
Yeah, no, don't do that.
No.
And it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't have to. Again, like,
No.
who's gonna just hire this guy on paper? Like, we don't see if he went for interviews or did anything
Like, this
in
is
person.
the kind of shit that would happen in, like, 1950.
Yeah.
You send away for a cop job in the big city, and you get a letter in the mail back.
Dear
no,
good
that
sir.
does not happen.
I am so interested in your police academy.
If it was any worse, it would have been a telegram.
Oh, goodness. But yes, they serve dual purposes because Sonic shows Tom that the place he is and the life he has is actually pretty great, and he shouldn't have to change it. And Tom becomes Sonic's friend. And so at the end, you get the resolution that you would expect, where they give him a little place in their home and he gets to live there. And it's all like just a happy resolution. And everything in between is just shenanigans along the way.
Sure, and it's just a way to get to this ending where Sonic lives with them in Green Hills.
Right. So let's talk about that. So you touched on it. There are references directly from these games in this movie. The most obvious one being the town that they live in is called Green Hills, Montana. So there is a level in Sonic.
The first most iconic level is the Green Hills Zone in the Sonic games. Which, by the way, there is no Green Hills, Montana.
Of course not.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of towns in Montana. But no, this is a fictional town.
Yeah, the other one I specifically caught was there was something called Hilltop. I know there's another level called Hilltop.
Okay, that I don't remember.
I would have to go through the list of zones to see if there were more, but those were the two that jumped out at me that I went, hey, wait, I know that.
Yeah. If I was more of a Sonic fan, I probably would have pointed that out. But, and like, besides those, there aren't a lot of like game references. So like we already talked about the rings, and he loses his rings and that's a problem, but it's not the same kind of problem that would have happened in the games.
Yeah, he makes a joke about having an extra life or something.
Yeah, it was just kind of a throwaway line at the end of the movie where they're trying to rebuild the house in Green Hills. There's a little piano song of the theme from Sonic, the first level of Sonic. Do 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 do. Yeah, that. But there's also a reference here that isn't from the games. In one of the cartoons, I think it was like the early 90s cartoon, Sonic likes chili dogs.
Yeah,
and I was hoping
I didn't get this reference.
There was gonna be a reference to chili dogs in this movie, and there was, and I was super happy about it, because I did watch the cartoon a little bit. Yeah, in the cartoon from the 90s, Sonic loves chili dogs. And that was like one of the things that gave him his power, I think. I don't remember. That was like 30 years ago, Betsy.
Does it make him fart and it makes it faster?
No.
Because that's what happens in this movie is he eats chili dogs and then he farts.
Right. And it was a tossed off line. It was after the big Roadhouse fight. And we'll get to that, but he farts in the motel room and James Marsden asks, well, what did you eat? And Sonic says, I think they were called chili dogs. And of course, all of the kids like me would have cheered.
Oh yeah, children wouldn't get that reference. It would be you and one other dude in the back row going, ha ha.
But you know what? I don't know if they've like there have been like I don't know, half a dozen different Sonic cartoons over the years.
Oh, wow. I missed that.
And I don't know if they've kept the chili dog thing or not. I have no idea.
I literally had never heard of this chili dog thing, but you kept yelling over there about chili dogs.
I kept yelling during the movie.
And I didn't know
hope
why.
they say that chili dogs, like James Marsden went inside the gas station to pick up some food, and I was saying, oh, I hope there's chili dogs in there.
Yeah. The only other one that was a really obvious reference was near the end when they have their climactic fight.
Oh, yeah.
Sonic calls Dr. Robotnik Mr. Eggman.
Yeah, in San Francisco, when he shows up in his big-ass drone and all of the little egg drones are surrounding him, he calls him Mr. Eggman, which, in Japan, that's what they call Robotnik. They call him Doctor or Mr. Eggman or something like that. In the U.S., in Western territories, they call him Dr. Robotnik. I don't know why. It's probably a translation thing. Robotnik doesn't sound as good in Japanese as it does over here, and Eggman maybe isn't as sinister. I don't know the story. But I know there is a difference between Japan and the Western territories.
I did know the reference that he was called Dr. Eggman or something.
In recent games, like very recent games, they no longer call him Robotnik.
What?
Yeah. They dropped that
what do they
years
call him?
ago. They call him Eggman.
That's stupid.
It is stupid.
I hate this. I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to the people of the Sega Corporation.
I'm sure there have been plenty of letters already sent.
Listen, if they will succumb to peer pressure and fan pressure to change what Sonic looks like in the movie, they will change him back to Robotnik on my behalf.
In just the games, because he's still Robotnik here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because if you named this particular villain in this movie Mr. Eggman or Dr. Eggman,
that would have been stupid.
That's fucking stupid, because that's where you go from being like a believable villain to this is a cartoon and I don't believe anything you're saying.
Yeah. The other video game reference I just thought of was the very end during the big boss battle, and this is very reminiscent of the end of the games, or the end of the worlds in the games, where Robotnik is in his like floating or flying machine of some kind.
Just sort of hovering there.
And you as the player, Sonic, have to go up and hit him plenty of times, and that's exactly what he did here.
And I love that they got it down to the way he hits him, because in the game you have to be rolled into a ball and bounce off of him. Right. You can't just jump, because if you jump, you lose all your rings.
Yeah.
So it's very specific. You have to be in this particular way.
State
To do it. And that's how they created it in the movie. So that was a nice little touch.
I think that was all the video game stuff. But speaking of references, Betsy, did you notice all of the product placement everywhere?
There was some products mentioned, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I have ever seen a movie where someone specifically asks for a mellow yellow.
Never. In my life.
Like, it's always a Coke or a Pepsi.
Or, yes.
Maybe a Mountain Dew.
Maybe.
But I have never heard someone go, he'll take a mellow yellow. Like, don't get me wrong, I love mellow yellow.
I drank a mellow yellow today.
But that was
weird.
Sponsored
by Mellow Yellow.
We are not sponsored by Mellow Yellow, but Mellow Yellow, if you would like to sponsor us, we will take your money. Thank you.
We'll take your Mellow Yellow, too.
And your Mellow Yellow.
Anyway.
We love Mellow Yellow. Sponsor us. But yeah, it was just weird. But there were a lot.
I wrote them down, at least the ones I saw anyway.
All right, what'd you get?
The very first one was like a sickening reference to Zillow.
Yeah.
Because it was so blatant and just disgusting.
What are you doing? I'm showing you the product placement.
Yeah. That was bad. And then Olive Garden showed up twice.
Yes, they made a joke about it at the beginning and then made a bigger joke about it later.
They even said the fucking tagline, when you're here, your family.
They showed the logo on the gift card.
God. There was just a few more. I don't necessarily count Toyota as product placement because there's so many different movies with so many different cars, and you have to have a branded car. It would be out of place if a car didn't have branding on it.
You're telling me you don't drive a car brand car?
It is very rare that they don't have a brand on a car, or at least they would kind of obscure the logo
don't show
to
it
try
from
to
the
make
front.
it to make it a more generic thing. But for the most part, if a logo is shown, they have to pay for it.
Correct.
Otherwise, they will try to cover it up. But yeah, Toyota was the car, or was the truck that James Marsden was driving. That was okay. That's less of a problem.
It's subtle because you're kind of used to it. It's a car.
Yeah, and there's a few more kind of subtle things. At the bar, one of the servers had a bunch of Coronas. Mm-hmm. CVS was on the corner in San Francisco.
Yep.
And the final one, which was his wife's sister in San Francisco, told her daughter, "Hey, grab my Fitbit and get some steps for me.
If you're gonna run around, just go grab the Fitbit."
Yeah, you don't say grab my watch. You don't say grab my smartwatch
or my tracker.
Fitbit.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I wish I didn't notice that. But you and I are people who notice those things.
Yeah, when it is as blatant as it is, and when the characters themselves say the brand name. That's a problem for me.
It's one thing if you're doing it knowingly and having fun with it, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that most people don't have fun with it. This one, it felt weird because it's like, I'm watching a children's movie, right? Mm-hmm. Why did he just say the Olive Garden slogan? Mm-hmm. So those were kind of the product placement things. So I think at this point, let's just talk about some of the little things, the moments that really stood out to you. So the first one for me was the bar fight, because they did that thing like they do in X-Men, was it Days of Future Past?
Yeah. When Quicksilver shows up and they're in this like lab area or kitchen area.
Yeah, basically he's going very fast and everyone else around him is completely slow motion.
Super slow motion.
And he's just running around, rearranging things, wrapping people in toilet paper,
poking them and having their skin ripple.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. So they did that in this movie, which you sort of expected them to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't use it to excess.
They did it twice in the movie. The second time wasn't nearly as long and drawn out. But the first time in the bar, they use it very well.
And the second time, because you, like, assuming you're a child who is watching this, you've seen him do this before, you have an expectation of what's going to happen. But because now Robotnik has his little version of Sonic's powers, he is able to keep up with him,
I guess.
And so it kind of subverts your expectation and he freaks out and everything kind of goes awry.
Yeah. But yeah, the moments in the Roadhouse bar were really good. I kind of also thought James Marsden is drinking in this, and he is going to be driving later. I don't know if this is something that should be on screen, but okay, fine. It's also Montana, so that's kind of expected in Montana.
There's sort of a higher blood alcohol content just at like 5 o'clock on a Thursday.
Yes, I don't know. There are like weird DUI laws in Montana. I know there used to be, like, it was like a parking ticket or like a speeding ticket.
Well, remember
ago.
When they didn't have a speed limit, when they just got rid of it?
Yep.
They've got one again now, don't they?
I have no idea, but I know for a long time.
For a while, they were just like, fuck it, drive as fast as you want.
It was the Autobahn of the U.S.
The Autobahn of America.
Montana. You don't want to stay here any longer than you have to, so get the fuck out as fast as you can.
That is a wider state than our state, so I don't exactly blame them.
Yeah.
One of the other things I liked, so when Robotnik figures out where they are, he kind of triangulates their location and goes after them in this vehicle that's like, super, I don't know what you call it, armored vehicle, I guess.
Yep.
He keeps getting stopped And it's like this fucking Russian nesting doll
Of tanks.
And other weapons. So first it's this massive thing, then it's this smaller thing, and then it's one wheel, and then it's this itty bitty.
Yep.
And they just keep getting smaller. And then even after that, there's one more inside that explodes.
Right.
Like that just had me chuckling because every time you think they beat him, a smaller, weirder.
Well, like the funny thing was James Marsden grabbing it with like a rag,
Yeah.
and thinking that it's stuck to the rag, and he throws the rag, and then it's stuck to his hand. That's a cartoon.
Yeah.
That's just a cartoon.
It's just nobody can get it off, and then it explodes, and it's funny along the way. Like it's beeping,
is.
and you know what's going to happen because you are
Beeping is
trained.
bad.
Beeping is bad. I also liked the scene where Robotnik was testing the quill, but when he first takes it out of his assistant's pocket, first thing he does is he licks it.
Yep.
And I will
As
tell
you do with like a 9-volt battery.
I will tell you, knowing a few people who are scientists or knowing about science, some sciences just involve you licking things. So like if you're a chemist, don't lick the science. Don't lick it.
Yeah.
But if you're a geologist, there is a lot of licking that happens. This segment brought to you by scientists. Then, of course, the end credits of this movie
Yeah, there's a couple of sequences here.
there are two things that happen. One, the actual credits are scenes from the movie done in the style of the original game.
Yeah.
And I was just giddy when that was happening.
That was really well done.
That was
They even
great.
have the original, like, Sonic, what they call a sprite. The sprite is the thing that kind of animates on screen that you are controlling. Yeah, they have the original sprite there, and it is animating like it did in the original game, but you add some extra pixels to them to have whatever else that he's dealing with from the movie. Yeah, it was really, really well done. They even have the sequences that you would even see in the game, like the big bus with Robotnik coming out, and you have all the drones coming after him, and they add in some extra details to it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it other than it looked great.
But of course, it's not the end of the movie because there's one more live action sequence where a ring appears.
You gotta set up the sequel.
You gotta set up the sequel, and who emerges but Tails? Because if you know anything, he wasn't in the first one. He didn't show up till the second one, right?
Correct.
So yeah, in the second one, it's Sonic and Tails. And so you've got this little fox-like creature with two tails that can fly. And he's just like, I know he's here, according to the readings, science stuff.
Yes.
And that's all we get.
Yeah, and I think Tails in the cartoon, I think he's like a gadget guy. I know he like flies a plane at some point.
I do remember them flying in a plane. I
Yeah.
don't exactly remember the context.
Do you remember Tails' name? Tails is just a nickname.
I just thought his name was Tails.
No, his name is Miles per hour.
Why?
Miles per hour.
Why?
That's his name.
But his name is Tails.
His name is Miles Tails
No.
per hour.
No.
I'm right.
I don't care. I reject it.
Did you also know? Little fun fact. I did not know this until well after this movie came out. The voice actress for Tails is the same voice actress from the cartoons.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
This is the great thing about being a voice actor is you can do the same character for fucking decades.
Yeah. Just ask all the people on The
If
Simpsons.
The Simpsons has taught us anything, just keep doing your gig.
I will say though, I caught an episode of a recent Simpsons. It was kind of painful to listen to, especially Marge, Julie Kavner. She sounds like what her sisters sounded like, Patty and Selma. That's what she sounds like now. And
She's gotten older. It's
She's
settled
got
down into the throat, boy.
Yeah, it's kind of painful to listen to, but hey, they're still doing it. It's okay. Not for long though, I'm sure.
But yeah, voice actors, that's a good gig.
Yeah.
Good work if you can
if
get it.
you are talented enough to get that gig, yeah, stick with it.
You know who else has done it since this came out, I suppose? Ben Schwartz. I did think of one just now. He was on the DuckTales reboot.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on that DuckTales
Yeah,
thing.
I don't know which one he was. He was Huey, Dewey, or Louie. He was one of them.
I know that Kate McCucci was also one of the...
She was the other
the girl.
yeah.
She was the girl.
But yeah, so he's got it, and he's probably going to do a lot more of it now that he made this movie.
Yeah, and I don't really know how much Ben Schwartz is going to be in demand as an actor. I'm glad that he is able to get into this now while he's still relatively young.
Definitely. And we've already got one more sequel, and then the third one of these is on the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's in development. I don't know much about it, though.
Yes.
But that, I think, is going to be it. Trent, do you have any other parting thoughts about Sonic?
It's not going to change my opinion about the games at all.
Of course not.
I do love, I know we're not talking about the sequel here, but I do love that they made a poster of the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie in the style of the video game box from Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, they recreated
the pose? They recreated everything from that box art as a movie poster with Jim Carrey in costume, with the new Sonic, with Tails, with all the stuff in the background.
I don't know if I ever made that connection.
I will show this to you later.
We're going to look this up when we're done.
It is incredible.
I love that.
I think eventually we will have to watch the sequel for the show. I don't know when that's going to be, but I would like to see it. I had a really good time watching this movie, and it just makes me look forward to whatever's coming next.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be it then for this one. We do have an email. I was trying to find some relevance to what we just watched, so I picked an email about someone on the run from the law, and we're going to read some emails about The Fugitive.
The Fugitive? It's almost as if we're doing this in advance and we can't be bothered to wait until we get emails about the video game movies we're watching.
Correct. So we have two of these. One is pretty short, so I'm just going to read both of them. The first is from, of course, our superfan Stephanie. She says, I have seen this movie in bits and pieces at least a dozen times. However, I haven't seen it in a very long time. I think I definitely need to rewatch it after listening to your episode. Anyway, I've mostly been rewatching horror movies lately. Love you guys. Superfan Stephanie.
All right, then.
Yeah, can recommend Stephanie. I also hadn't watched this movie in some time. So you should definitely take some time away from your horror to watch The Fugitive.
It holds up. That's nothing spoilers about that. That movie really holds up. I enjoyed that immensely.
All right, we do have one more email about The Fugitive from our distinguished contributor, Mitch from Saskatoon.
Hey, Mitch.
Howdy, you two. I am so glad that you covered The Fugitive. This is one of my absolute favorite Harrison Ford movies and probably in the top 3. What are your top 3?
Oh, God. Up until recently, I don't know if I could have answered this question, but I would say Air Force One is definitely in there.
Love it.
I would say Empire Strikes Back is up there too. And I guess Indiana Jones. I mean, I haven't really seen a whole lot of his stuff.
I think you like Indiana Jones on principle, even though you haven't actually watched all the movies.
No, I haven't. I've only seen the first one once, and we'll get to that eventually.
Well, I would definitely agree with you on the Indiana Jones. I would say of the 4, probably Raiders. It's really hard not to enjoy Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've seen probably more than you as far as movies he has made, but I'm struggling to come up with others that are my favorite. I used to watch What Lies Beneath a lot. I don't think it's one of his better movies. It's just a movie I like.
Yeah. You have opinions about Blade Runner.
I do. I've seen Blade Runner. I don't understand Blade Runner. And maybe someday I'll grow to appreciate Blade Runner, or maybe it's just not as good as people think it is.
All right.
And I am right in my opinions. Time will tell on that one. But yeah, Air Force One is probably, if I was going to pick a favorite, my favorite, just because I watched it so many times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I watched that way too young and way too often.
All right.
But we're going to leave room for growth on there. But I really enjoyed The Fugitive this go around. So I may, in this moment, just go ahead and call an audible and say, that's the other one.
Sure. I'll say the same.
Anyway, we've strayed from this email. He continues, this film has so much suspense and story going on, with action interspersed and a fantastic Tommy Lee Jones. Thank you for covering. I was so happy to hear the episode, I sought out where to watch it myself. On the search, I inadvertently found the spoof, Wrongfully Accused, that Betsy teased during the episode. Needless to say, I watched it and had a good laugh. Leslie Nielsen movies are the best when you don't want to think too hard. The Naked Gun movies are probably better, but this was good quality and plays off 90s movies really well. Worth the watch on Prime. Awesome job with the Oscars series. You have both proved again you are way better than me at movies. I will stay in my lane now. Have a groovy spring.
Hey, it's spring.
Mitch.
I don't think I have ever seen a Leslie Nielsen movie.
I mean, if there's not...
We talked about this a little bit.
There's not that many that are really well known. Like, he made a crap load.
He did.
Back in, like, the 60s. But they just were boring-ass movies. He was just another face in the crowd. Yeah. It wasn't until he started making these goofy movies in the 80s. I think
Airplane was his first one where he broke out and made the turn to be a comedic actor, but he still kept that very dry sense of humor, which I have.
Yeah,
so I would probably like some of his movies.
But then they just kind of got silly. Like, he was making Mr. Magoo, and he did what is it? He made a vampire movie with Mel Brooks, Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, Dracula, Dead and Loving It, which I understand is one of Mel Brooks's like lower tiered movies.
Probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's definitely ones worth seeking out. I actually was listening to another podcast where they talked about Wrongfully Accused because they were talking about The Fugitive.
Of course.
And they hate Wrongfully Accused. They were like, it makes me sad because this is like one of the worst movies Leslie Nielsen ever made. I don't remember it that way, but I also watched it when I was like 10. Yeah, and everything is funnier when you're 10.
You're not going to have a well thought out opinion at 10.
A nuanced opinion about the quality of a movie like Wrongfully Accused.
Or like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Or Sonic the Hedgehog. Well, if you are a 10-year-old with a nuanced opinion about Sonic the Hedgehog from 2020, we would love to hear from you. You can email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com.
Do they give 10-year-olds email addresses? I don't know.
I don't know what the young people do anymore, but if you are not a young people, we would also like to hear from you. Neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You can send us an email there. You can also reach out to us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also click the link in the podcast description to help support the show. You can also help support the show by going on iTunes and Spotify and rating our show. That is one of those things that helps. So give us 5 stars on there.
5 stars.
5, not 4, not 3, nothing.
Not that one asshole who rated us 1 star on iTunes. I'm going to find you.
No, you're not. You are not going to go Jay and Silent Bob on his ass. All right. That's going to be it for this one. Once again, we are in the midst of 2 series. We're at the halfway point, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Kinda.
We have 3 more Sundays in the month for Smutty Sunday.
Indeed.
And we have 2 more video game movies on Wednesdays. So tune in for all of those and then whatever nonsense we come up with for the month of May.
We don't even know what the hell that's going to be.
We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, this has been another episode of Never Seen It. I'm Betsy.
And I'm Trent.
And we will catch you next time.
Gotta go fast.